Okay. So this is what I'm going to cover today. First, we'll look about the PetCT, and we'll talk something. We'll talk about what the application is and how radiologists use it, and then we'll talk about the enhancement made for version 12.1 and 12.15. So in the overview, I'm going to cover what is PetCT and what are the main building blocks in the application, the various layouts we are allowing users to use, and something about quantitative measurement, what is SUV, and how is lesions take part in this application. Feel free to interrupt me at any time with questions. I'll just begin. Okay, so first, what is a PET-CT? A PET-CT is a nuclear medicine imaging technique that combines both CT and a PET images to reveal information about both structural and functional information of the cells, basically. And PET-CT is used for showing the PET imaging demonstrates the function of tissues, and basically it uses to analyze a disease or the current state of a tissue, and the CT scan provides the body anatomy such as size, shape, and location, and combining them together brings a very powerful diagnostic imaging to accurately diagnose and identify several diseases such as cancer, heart diseases, and brain disorders. So for PET, and usually when we're talking about PET-CT study, we're talking about the PET in it, because CT is basically just giving the structural anatomy. And in a PET imaging, we use a PET tracer. So here we are showing an image of an FDG. An FDG is the most common radiology substance. What it does is we give it to the patient via IV, directly into the ventricle, and basically it attaches to glucose, and thus tissues that absorbs a larger amount of blood will gain a larger amount of that substance. And since it is highlighted and we can just image it from the outside, we can just see which are those tissues that absorbs it. And basically talking about cancer and tumors, tumor is something that absorbs more blood than the other tissues around, and so the imaging technique gives us a pretty good image of what's going on functionally inside the body. So the building blocks of the application, I bet most of you know it already, is the application consists of several images. The scanner itself produces the CT and the PET and what's called the NAC images. The PET is, as I said, a functional image, and the difference between a PET and the NAC series is the PET is some sort of attenuation corrected. It's a mathematical image that is produced from the NAC. The NAC, the non-attenuation corrected, is the raw image that goes directly from the scanner, and the PET is some corrected image above the NAC. So basically, as we're talking about a PET, and as I said, it's a tracer, and we image it from outside the body. The tracer tends to decay over the body. So if it's inside the body, if we image it from outside, it will decay. And to correct that, because otherwise we would have effect of larger highlighting of the outer rim of the body compared to the inner of the body. And so the PET image corrects that, and basically what we want is that we only want to see the PET image. This does not mean that we never want to see the NAC image. Sometimes most people with implants, with metal implants, the NAC image is very informative. And so in some cases we would like to watch the non-attenuation corrected image, but in the regular settings we'd like to see the PET only. So we have a PET, and we have which is the functional image. We have a CT, which is the structural, the structural image. And over the PetCT, and you can see here a typical image of the application, we just show both of them. And you can see the upper right PET, and you can see on the lower left a CT image. And the system will automatically produce two additional images for us. The upper left one is the MIP, which is basically just a weighted 3D rendering of the PET image. Weighted meaning that MIP is the maximum intensity projection, and weighting it makes the highlighted on the background become less highlighted than the front. It kind of make it more 3D look. Some people like it, some people don't, and we can control if we want to see it weighted or not. And this is the MIP image, and over the right bottom image you can see a fuse image, which is basically just a superimposed PET over the CT. So this is what we would like to get. Okay, so these are the main building blocks, and I'll show you in a slide or two how we use it to make different layouts so that it's easier for the radiologist to compare between studies and between the series inside. Okay, so here are the layouts. So we have several layouts. I already showed you the 2x2 the slide before. We also have this left orientation, which basically just show all of these images in a row. So we have the MIP. I don't know if you can see it. The MIP is here, the PET is here. We have the CT, and we have the fuse image. And we have a whole list of possible layouts. It's in the layout bar, and you have the plus sign icon here, and you can just open it and just play with it. Just switch to any layout you want. Here I also attached what we call the all layout. Basically just show the MIP here and the PET with all three renditions. The CT you have all three renditions, and the fuse you have all three orientations, I mean the axial, coronal, and sagittal. So in a very in just a single layout you get all orientations of all important series in the study. And we also added a lot of new layouts to this version. You can just play with it, they're all here. So we kind of divide them between a single data set layouts. We just show one series in all orientation, a multiple data set we chose the PET and the CT, sometimes with a NAC series, but on a single orientation. And we have all sort of comparison layouts, which allows you to see in several layouts, in several orientations, and also to compare between studies. And this is very important. You can have a layout that shows two or even more studies side by side. So, okay, so we talked about the building blocks and the layouts, and what I want to show next is that what is quantitative measurement. So the radiology world is progressing toward quantitative measuring. So up until now, looking at a PetCT study was pretty much a qualitative operation. You would look at an image and compare it with your eyes and see the changes, not necessarily understand the full extent of what you're seeing, but it gives you the trend. And as I said, the radiology world is very progressing toward quantitative measuring. You can see there is an RSNA group called the QIBA, Quantitative Imaging Biomarker Alliance, which promotes the use of measuring inside studies. And we have all kinds of book and research studies talking about evidence-based imaging. And in PetCT, it's very important to go to the quantitative measuring, because PET and nuclear medicine, can gain important information, important knowledge from these measuring. So for example, we can say something about the density of a tumors. Like we have a liver tumors that in the effect of healing, of progressing, we can see not structural change, but density change. So inside, it will either become a cyst full of some liquid, or maybe more solid. So it may hint us on the progression of the disease. So we can see the density. We can talk about SUV value. I will cover what's SUV in a minute. We can compare them over time. Like in this image here, we have two images of the same patient over time. So we can just take a look at these two red circles and say, okay, so if this was the current imaging and this was the prior, so we can see definitely that something has progressed. He is better, but how much? So we cannot tell from just looking at the image. So we can compare with, the actual change over time, and also it gives us some hint of the malignancy of this tumor, its doubling time, so if it's very violent or not. And on this left image, you can see the diameters, the recessed diameters. I will cover this one in a minute as well, but just as a note, it all combines into our lesion management solution. So a PetCT is basically the home base of oncology reading. And of course, we would like to use lesion management tools in these settings. Okay, so what is the measurements inside the PET-CT? So in a CT image, we have Hounsfield values, meaning the pixel value within the CT image is in Hounsfield units. Hounsfield units is most of the time it ranges between minus 1,000 to plus 4,000. And it just represents the permeability of the tissue to radiation. So we radiate the patient from outside, and we detect the radiation received on the other side. And the more dense the material in between, the more dense the tissue, maybe a bone, so the less radiation we will get on the other side, and we just get a negative image of the body. This is a CT image. The Hounsfield units are standardized units, and they can be compared between patients and even inside the patient. So we already know that a liver has some range in the Hounsfield unit. I don't remember currently, but somewhere around 600 Hounsfield units. So we can just compare and classify tissues based on this value. In a PET image, the image the pixel values in a PET image are basically radiation units. So what we do, as I said, in a PET, we inject the material inside the body, and we detect it from the outside. This is kind of the reverse way from the CT. And what we get is we get radiation reading units, which usually are becquerel per milliliter. And they range from 0, like no radiation read, to any number. And the radiation depends, of course, on the thickness of the body, the time since the injection was done, and of course the tracer properties, like its half time, it's a radiation here. And the problem with PET units is that they are non-standardized, and they cannot be compared between patients. And which brings me to talk about what is SUV. So, as I said, the problem is that the radiation we read from the image is not the radiation emitted inside the body, and we have to do some kind of correction on these factors to get a correct reading of what goes inside the body. And an SUV is basically a standardized uptake value, and what it says is that we calculate somehow each pixel, and we want to eliminate the variability of like how thick was the tissue and how inside the body it was and how much time it was since the injection. And what we want to get basically at the end is we want to get a figure that we can compare between patient and of course between time. So if we get an SUV value of 2, what does it mean? It means that we can basically compare it to a different patient and its SUV value. And for SUV calculation, we have three different formulas. We have the body weight, which is by far the most common way, and we have body surface area and lean body mass. They are all in the literature. You can just find them. It's basically just a different formulation of taking coefficient of the body mass and the injection time and just quantitating them over the image. So basically, once we load the PetCT application, if we have the data to calculate, we go with body weight, but it's changeable. User can just change it to whatever he wants. And last thing I want to rehearse about PetCT is that lesion, as I said, oncology reading is a workflow for discovering and tracking tumor. Tumor is lesions. And what the CareStream PACS client allows us is to use lesion management tools to track and report those lesions. So up until now, if you know, we had both bookmarking ability and and reporting of resist diameters. And in PetCT, it's kind of different. We want to allow actual SUV trend over time. And so inside the PetCT, we have correlation between PET and a CT. So each lesion we mark on a CT, of course, needs to be marked on the PET as well. And each lesion we cannot see on the CT, we want to measure it first on the PET and see its values on the CT. And as I said, I would like to get it. It's not in the current version, but as a kind of a bottom line of this application, we would like to get to a point where we can get an SUV trend over time within a patient or even between patients, because it will show the progression and of the treatment. Okay, so that's pretty much about the PetCT overview. If you have any questions, you might want to do it now. None. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the changes made for version 12.1, and further along I will show the changes made for 12.1.5 as well. So for version 12.1, these are the features we did. I'm going to cover each such line in a slide, so I won't read this one. Okay, so the first thing we got to do when we upgraded the PetCT was that it would not correctly identify a certain CT and a certain PET over time. Some sites have shown us that they have multiple CT scans and multiple PET scans within the study, and they needed some way to basically make the application load the same CT or the same series over time. So they both had to recognize the correct series and to correct the correlation between the CT and the PET. So as I said, they have more than they had more than a single CT or PET. They wanted to consistently load it first, and they wanted to differentiate between the PET and the NAC. This is something we already did on a prior version, but it's more robust in 12.1, and the correlation between CT and the PET. And this is the need. So basically, how we do it is we have a system of rules to identify each series in a study. And these rules are, as I'll show you in a minute, they are all written in the central configuration. And it's not specific to a DP. This is a problem, but also a good effect, because each DP you write for a PetCT, you won't have to reconfigure these rules. These are rules for a system-wide to how to recognize what is the correct PET and what is the correct CT. Okay, so as I said, the rules are in the central configuration. Each rule defines what we call the data set. For example, we have something called the CT general or CT legs or CT body, and each such CT has the conditions, the definitions of how to identify it from the series. We supply several predefined rules already in this central configuration, and as we tested it over, I think something like 10 sites, most of them are usually pretty consistent, but you'll have to notice that it depends on the protocol the site you're visiting is using. So most of the sites tends to mark the city with a WB or whole body annotation. It's written in the series description, and we identify that as the default city, and we try to identify its matching pet and to load them at first. So there you have it. You can see here the data set, what we call, is divided between modality and how we recognize a pet. I think this is a pet of whole body. You can see it over the root here. And the conditions to identify it contains multiple conditions. One of them is that it's an attenuation corrected image, and of course it's a pet modality. And what I'm showing here is how to configure the series description. This is most likely the thing you will have to change if the series you are seeing is not marked with a WB. And of course we have all sorts of conditions. The last one is it's a pet and it's a WB, a whole body one, but it's not a MIP series. And you have those rules for every kind of pet. We can create multiple pet identification, pet data sets. One of them can be called pets general, and pet body, and pet whole body, and pet legs, and you name it. And the other thing that I'm not showing here is that inside the CFG you will have here a preset. It's not shown here, a preset, but the preset, which is the layout, is actually mapped to this data set. So the layout will try to use the data set that I'm showing here, okay, to show the pet whole body, for example. Okay, so this was the identification of the correct city and pet was the most difficult problem we had in prior version, and this is the problem we've attacked first. We also had a problem of image replacement. So if you remember the layout that I showed you before, like the 2x2, the MIP, pet, city, and fuse image, once you did on a prior version, you try to switch between a pet, like taking another pet from the PMA and dragging it to the screen, you would notice that it would only change that image. You would have to change it in the MIP as well and in the fuse as well, and this was a very tedious work for the radiologist. Most of them asked us to simplify that process, and what we are doing now is that we replace everything we can on the screen. So if a user is dragging a new pet and replaces it on the layout, we just replace everything we can. We replace both the MIP image and replace the fuse, the pet portion inside the fuse. And also this is true for the city. Replacing the city, of course, replaces the city portion in the fuse. This, of course, minimizes the time it takes to arrange images on screen and reduces errors, because sometimes we've seen over several customers that they replaced the MIP, the pet, but didn't replace it on the fuse image. So now they were seeing two different images, and this whole process was, of course, very tedious but error prone. And the new mechanism just solves this problem. With a single click, you can just, or single drag, you can just switch every pet on the layout. This was image replacement, and of course the additional problem, the one layer above that, was to replace a full study. So replacing a full study was, once again, an operation of replacing each of the images to the new study. And now we currently use the study annotation here, the date here. You just right click it and you get a list of all the prior study, and just click on one of them. It will replace the entire layout. This is the study replacement. And of course, as we do it, it will try to maintain the proportion shown on screen. So if we are showing the pet in some zoom factor, switching to a different study, like to compare it to a different study, will maintain that factor, will maintain the pen, It will try to maintain the windowing and the color map selected, so everything stays put, and you can just sort of toggle between studies to identify a suspected location. I will also show you, by the way, that this is not the only way to compare studies. We can compare it with a layout of showing two studies, so we can just put the current study above and switch between the priors below. Okay. Another very annoying problem we had with prior version was that images sometimes loaded with not the maximum possible zoom. This would take up a lot of time from the radiologist to read it. So they will have to re-magnify each image after load. It was a tedious job. And currently we are doing a new calculation, basically, that just means to open, once the study loaded, it will take the full real estate it can take from the screen, and it will zoom to the maximum possible value. Some users have asked us to remove those green wireframe around the MIP, and we did that. So the system comes, 12.1 version comes with this option toggles on, meaning the orientation wireframe will not be shown. User can select to re-show it. It's in the central configuration. I'll show you after that in the central configuration. We have a new page for PetCT options, and it's there. Oh, actually, it's here, so, right? No, not here. Okay, so automatically register studies. Basically, what a radiologist would do is that once he loads a PET-CT study with a prior, he would have to register them. So current version eliminates that from him, and it will automatically try to register the studies just upon load. It's an option you can just enable or disable from the application settings. You can see it here marked in red. The DP already configured to do that. Actually, if you're in a site with DPs that were stitched to them, be advised that this requires some CFG flag within the DP, so you'll have to toggle that on if it's a private DP. But you can look at the load to PET-CT DP, it's there, it's on the route. Pet windowing, so also a very frustrating was to window the pet image. It would require some very tedious job of moving the mouse around to get to a proper windowing. And what we did up until now is that we only allowed presets within raw values. So for city it would be okay because city is in Hounsfield values. But since PET is in raw values, as I said, BQML, becquerel per milliliter, it's very hard to know what is the required windowing values to get to a proper image. And some users would like to use the auto windowing, some would like to use the ROI windowing. Currently, we allow PET presets in SUV values, body weight actually. And the normal one, which you can see here, comes from goes from a minimum of 0 to maximum of 5 within SUV body weight values. It's basically very good to load with these values, but you can choose to do it with any value. And the DP, actually the layout, knows to look for that normal named preset and to switch to its windowing value. So you can change its values, but you can't change its name. And you can also add any other preset you'd like. So just allowing you to window it with one key, function key, like in any CT, but here in SUV values. PET segmentation. So as I said before, a very needed tools inside the PetCT application are the lesion management tools, and we allowed that in version 12.0, but the problem with them is that most of our lesion management tools are made for CT and MR modalities. So they would do a very lousy job within a PET study or nuclear medicine study. And what we did for version 12.1 is that we added a new segmentation, a threshold segmentation, which you can see here. And the threshold segmentation is basically just segmenting whatever above a certain threshold. And you can see here the system is automatically configured to segment the top 60% SUV values within the area. So what I did here is that I just marked a sphere, a 3D sphere, and the system will automatically find the maximal SUV value and segment the 60% SUV value close, similar to it, and basically producing a segmentation here. You can see the inner segmentation here, and I'm getting the SUV maximal value and the SUV median value. And this is the inside segmentation, not the outer sphere. The outer sphere is only used for edging that. And of course, as I said, since it's a PetCT application, once I'm segmenting a pet, it will automatically segment it on the CT. So in the bookmark list, when I'm seeing the segmentation, I will get both SUV, maximal and average values, and the Hounsfield from the CT. So it's a very important tool. Sometimes it's called a seed growing technique, sometimes threshold. So if users asked you, it's there. By the way, it's allowed for any modality. So not only PET, you can do it, of course, on the nuclear medicine images, and you can also do it on a CT. It's not very good on CTs, but you can do it. And in the application settings, you have both SUV thresholds to configure and Hounsfield values to configure on it. Okay, so moving along, we have the MTV. MTV, it's a metabolic tumor volume. As you're reading the articles in nuclear medicine, you'll see that a very good deal of research is done on segmentations of PET. And talking about segmentation of PET, we are very interested to know what is the total volume of lesions found in PET. So just moving backward for one slide, you can see that I segmented here something and it has a volume, but if I segmented, actually here I'm not sure it's even a lesion, but if I'm segmenting something, if I'm segmenting two lesions in the body, I would have to total the volume, total the volume of both of them to get some good grasp of what's going on in the body. What is the total volume of the lesions seen on the PET? And you can see on the scientific article that MTV is something that is very used, and we shortcut things for the radiologist here, and we put the MTV in the report and in the bookmark list. So basically just segment and it will appear, segment a threshold of course, and it will appear here and here. Okay. Something that some users have asked us is that once we did some sphere or even here a threshold segmentation, it's not really always bound to a real sphere, a perfectly circled sphere. So they've asked to freely reshape it as a ellipsoid. So basically what the user will get is 4 dots on the corners, and he can just drag them all over and just make an oval-shaped sphere, as you can see here. Mind you that this works best in a MPR settings, but in original orientation, like axial or coronal or sagittal. Any other orientation, it's not that certain what the sphere looks like, and we actually block that operation. So if you want to resize it, do it on an axial or coronal or sagittal orientation. Okay, so these were the changes made for 12.1. Only one that appears here, the TLG, which I'll get to. if any of you are installing it on a site where, if you install, 12.1 version, you will get all of the things I talked about until now, and also the TLG, which I'll cover in a minute. In the last minute, it made its way to 12.1. And any question up until now? Okay, you're very quiet. Okay, let's talk about 12.15, PetCT enhancement in the latest version. And this is the full feature list. Someone, yes? No. Okay. So for 12.15, we've added multiple layouts, and I already showed you before, but this is the full list of possible layouts. Since this is not DP related, it's kind of a problem to stitch the layout inside the DP like we do for viewer, for example, which we can change the layout. It's configured in a different place in the central configuration, but the current paradigm we are going with is that we will change whatever layout the user asked users are asking. We implement it to the central CFG, and next version will come with it. And basically what we have is that we have a way to allow users to hide several layouts that they don't want, because this list can be very large if we keep doing it. So what we have, I already covered some of it. We have the multiple data set. Sometimes users ask to show it with no pet, so we have the multiple data set with no pet. We have a compare with NAC, like university sites would like their students to see the non-attenuation corrected images, so we added a layout for that. We added a very important comparison of multiple priors, so like not only current and prior, but current and 2 priors, current and 3 priors, and even 5 studies, current and 4 priors. We've added multiple views, so it's a layout of 1 by 4, and we are showing 4 studies, the current and 3 priors, only their fused images. We are allowing a layout of only MIP, same 1 by 4 of only MIPs, and of course comparing between two body parts, as we've seen in several sites that they have several cities or several pets within the study. But the difference between them is that they both cover a different part of the body. So just comparing between the head or just showing a layout that shows both is basically very similar to the comparison layout we had. Just here it shows different body parts. And we've added a few layouts, but we understand that people would like to quickly go to their preferred layout. So we've added the option to assign shortcut to each of the layouts. Just right-click any of them and press Customize Assign Shortcut, and you will have the option to assign any Windows shortcut to that display option, to that layout. What we also did is, and it's kind of hidden, we've added an option to hide some of these. So if a user doesn't want to see all of this listed, we can stitch in his configuration to hide some of these layouts. And if you want to know how to do that, you can ask. Another nice feature we've added is that a fusion image can just toggle between pet and the city. It's just an additional shortcut which eases the showing of pet only or city only within that image. It's very important in the new layout, in the fuse only layout, where we're showing only fuse images. And so just pressing on Shift 1 will toggle between from the fuse to the pet to the city and vice versa. An important feature we've added to 12.15 is that most of the times when you're done reading a PetCT case, you would want to just capture the key images here, and just to insert them into a report. So here it was a tedious job of key imaging each of these images, and we've added a new button here inside the PetCT application that allows you to capture the entire screen as a key image. It will be saved as an RGB image, but then again it is an RGB image. You can see it here. Okay, and you can just put it in your reporting solution. Within our internal reporting solution, it's just copy key images, and all the key images are automatically populated into the report. So the sphere we've already shown in version 12.0. It was a perfect sphere, but the problem in it was that sometimes the required protocol, the protocol would require the radiologist to do a fixed size sphere, and this was a bit of problematic to the user because it would involve very delicate hand movement, and now we are allowing to do that within just holding the shift key while creating the sphere. It will create a sphere of a fixed size, and then once resizing it, it would resize in steps. Both the fixed size and the size steps are fully configurable per user within the application settings, so you can just start off with a 1 centimeter radius sphere, and then go to in 0.5 centimeter steps. Okay, it's very easy to make perfect sized spheres and just measure the maximum within it. Of course, it's not only bound to sphere, it will also be allowed within the threshold segmentation, which sometimes is very important because there are some protocols. I know the European protocol requires that the radiologist do a perfect 1 centimeter sphere and measure within it. Okay, a new DP for loading directly into PetCT. A very frequent request we got from several customers is that they are working with a wrist system, and the wrist pressing on the load there will automatically just transmit a message to the client to load the study. And since the study is not really configurable to load into PetCT, it would load directly into viewer, and then the user would have to change its DP to PetCT or some sort of view as or any kind of manipulation there. So it was a redundant step in the way, and we wanted to directly load PetCT studies into a PetCT application. So we are providing a PetCT DP now, and it's not similar to the load to PetCT DP, which is the DP used for load 2 operations from the Archive Explorer. This is a DP that basically is the same, but it enforces modality rules. So if it detects that the study has both PET and the CT images within it, it would load to a PetCT application. What we would like you to do is that we offer this DP, and it's there in your DP editor, but it's a system level DP currently. And if we would change it to be the top one, so the entire site would get it, and I don't know if we want that. So we didn't do it. We just offer you this DP, and what you will have to do is that you will have to copy it, just change its level from system to private. You can see it here. And so this user will have it and just change its priority to be on the top here. And so it will be enforced for every study this user open. If the study contains CT and the PET images in it, it will directly load it to a PetCT. So for this user now, loading from the wrist will load directly to the PetCT, making it redundant to switch to a PetCT rendition. Okay, so you probably have to do it for each user. If you have a group of users, you can do it there. You can just put this DP in a group level, and it can it can save you the time for going from each user. Okay, the TLG, as I said, was inserted in 12.1. The TLG is a measurement for each of the pet lesions. It will display total lesion glycolysis, basically meaning summing the SUV average value over the volume. And this is some sort of indicator of the tissue activity. You can also see the scientific articles talking about that and the MTV. It will not appear on the graphics itself. It will only appear in the bookmark list, and you can show it here on the bookmark list, and you can see it in the bookmark report. So don't expect it to just show on the graphics. You'll have to open the bookmark list in order to see it. And as you remember, each lesion you are doing is automatically added to the bookmark list. You won't have to do anything special for that. Okay, it's calculated for pet segmentation, of course, and it requires that we can calculate the SUV lean body mass. So if you are not seeing, if this is empty for you, and we've seen some customers that this value doesn't show, try to change the pet units on the pet image. Right click on the SUV annotation and change to SUV lean body mass, and try to see if it changes there, because most of the times when it can't show the TLG value, meaning it will mean that you can change to a lean body mass because some of the properties in the study is missing: the patient height, the patient weight, or even the injected dose. Okay. So here, what we're showing is that a MIP rotation. If you see other competitors, PetCT viewers, you will see that once loaded, the MIP already swirls around. And this is something useful for the nuclear medicine practitioners, because as you see here, what we did is that we loaded the MIP, it rotates, and it shows us the tissues within the body. Some of them is of course, shouldn't be highlighted, like this tumor in the neck, below the neck here. But the heart, of course, is normal. The bladder is normal. Even the kidneys are normal. But you can see some of them, some of the abnormalities here. And what the user would want to do, and you can see the cursor swirls around here, is that you want to relate on the pathology and immediately show the location here. And this is basically what this image is showing. The MIP is swirling around, and the user just clicks. This is called triangulate in order to get to the suspected location. Okay, so this is an option. I'm not sure if it's turned on by default, but you can change it for every user. It's in the application setting, PetCT application. Here you have it. The automatic swivel of the MIP, and also, as I said before, the wireframe remove is also in here. This is the application settings, clinical application, PetCT application. You can change it here. We'll talk in a minute what this what the highlight column map is. What I didn't cover in my slides is this last one, the default merge method. As you know, the fuse images are showing in two possible blending options. The one is the alpha blend, and the other is the highlight. On prior version, we did a highlight show of the fuse image. Some users claimed the alpha blending is more accurately showing the pet images. So currently, we are offering the alpha blending by default, but it's changeable through here. So in this slide, I would want to talk about the relate. Most of the time when we're loading the PetCT application, and as I said before, the MIP swivels, and what we want to do is we want to directly go into a specific location. So basically, we would want the relate tool to be the default mode. This is the crosshair, the R shortcut, and up until now we didn't have this option, but in 12.15 we have, and it's right here. So you can just select the relay tool, and once loading into PetCT application, the relay tool would be the default mode. So just with any click, it automatically is selected for you, and just click on the location you want. Okay. The color bar. You already seen the color bar on the perfusion lecture. So we are offering that color bar in PetCT studies as well. The fuse image, which is a very important image, it shows colors, and we would like to show what are the colors, what is high intensity, what is low. And so basically just open the windowing menu, you'll have the show color bar here, and it will just appear on the fuse image below. So this is one thing, you can just show it, and it will automatically show the values of the windowing and the color map. The other important feature of this color bar is that it allows very quick changing of the windowing within just dragging the markers here. So change the minimum, change the maximum. I know you can now do it with an F key, but there is another option, just doing it from the color bar. And once again, doing it very, very easy to change windowing on pet and fuse images. Okay, line profile. This is a new tool asked from a customer. What we are doing here is that we allow for each line marking over an image, we allow right-clicking on it and showing the profile. The profile is basically just, it looks like an histogram, but it's not really an histogram. It's the values along the line. So 0 is the point we started to measure the line, and the end point is the end point of the line, and it will show us the values along the line, making it very clear where is the lesion here, or where is the high intensity pixels are. So it's a tool, you can use it, and you can just change the zoom or even hide it if you don't like it. It's an option, it's always there. It's not limited, by the way, to pet or nuclear medicine, but it's most reasonable to use it in radiation imaging. Okay, a nice feature we've added to the MIP image is that we've added the markers to mark the oblique image location. So these are the two lines here on the side, you can see it here. What they mean is that currently the other images in the layout, the oblique images, are showing this section of the body. Okay, this reduces the confusion of what I'm watching now on the oblique images. It just shows, and we'll use the MIP image here like a map of the full body. Okay, this is a general note I've written to just summarize that every change we're doing on the layout, like manipulating a parameter like windowing or changing the color map, or even setting the blending opacity to change from 50% to 70%, it will do that change to the prior studies, making it very easier to change the windowing of the current study, and it will also change the windowing on the prior study. So it's very easy to detect changes within a study comparable to another study. Okay, zooming into a location within one study will zoom to that location within the other study, changing the opacity, of course, changing the windowing of the city, changing the windowing of the pet. It will all work together. And okay, so the missing part, which I said I talked about, is the color map for highlighting lesion. It's a new color map we're adding to fuse images. You can just select it from here. It's called the SUV lesion highlight. What it does, it just highlights in a certain color. It just highlights the pixel values above a certain threshold, or between a certain threshold. And basically what it results is that we are seeing only the lesions highlighted on the CT. Okay, so not all the PET image, just lesions. Why are the lesions? Because they have high SUV value. And it's changeable. The color map is here, but what the threshold values is configurable through here. So for pet image, this is the name, and these are the minimum and maximal values, and within these units. So here we have SUV body weight. We also allow that for nuclear medicine, so we have the same protocol, the same color map, and we have, but this one in pixel because nuclear medicine doesn't support SUV values. Okay, so it's fully configurable. You can just select it and see lesions. So one user told me that it's very easy to start off the application showing this. So she would want every layout she's seeing to automatically select that color map. And I'm not showing it here, but it's fully configurable, but not from application setting, from configuration, from central configuration. Okay, so here we see the MIP image once again, and what I'm showing here is that here I did two threshold segmentation over the pet images, and it would be very hard to see where these lesions are on the MIP image. And once again, the MIP is some sort of a map of the entire body or entire scan. And what we are doing specifically for threshold segmentation is that we are allowing to show that on the MIP image. So we can see it here. It wouldn't show the maximal SUV values and the name of the, because it already shows that. It shows them on the pet image, but it only shows the segmentation itself and the outer rim, the outer sphere of that segmentation. Okay, and as the MIP swivels around, you can see its changes. Okay, so I'm pretty much done. You have any questions now or later, you can just join and ask now, or if you want, you can email me later. Anything? Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay, that will be our last session for today. XAA subtraction will be available to you offline. I thank you very much for joining us, and have a good night.
תעצור את ההקלטה, אבל
ראיתי גם ערכים גבוהים.
תגיד, זה היה מוקלט? דייגו.
כן, כן, זה מוקלט.
יכול להיות שבאונס ודיונית זה עולה קצת מעל, אבל בגלל התחום של
כי הם היו צריכים לסיים לפני חצי שעה.
אז זה מגיע...
מישהו יודע
איך
אתמול בדקתי, ראיתי את זה גם.
אתה יודע איך עוצרים את ההקלטה?
ריקורדר? manage recording?
צוריל,
כן.
הפרזנטציה הזו
ריקורדר?
אני לא חושבת.
רגע, אתה עושה איקסי בשביל...
שלחתי לך את הגרסה הראשונה, להראות עכשיו נשלח לכם.
לא, זה השתיים. זה טוב.
כן, נכון, אני לא נראה לי שהם היו שם.
אני לא יודע, בוא נקרא ל... מה לא הקלטת? מה המטליק הזה ש... עשית לי איזה סימן שבא...
ההייד, זה שזה בכלל
בוא נעשה
על ההייד של לאוטי?
יש לך דוגמאות?
אני לא ראיתי את זה, להסתכל על זה.
בזכותך, זה פיצ'ר שדבי עשתה.
יש לך מצגת, יובל?
זה כבר בפנים, כן?
אתה מציג אונליין כזה?
פרי סטייל, כן.
יאללה, פרי סטייל.
טל, מי יודע מה הטלפון של טל?
כאילו
אני אמורה להריץ פוסטור, אתה יודע.
מי זה הטלפון של טל?
כבר עשיתי פעם מצגת כזאת, אבל הם היו יותר נכונים, שאלו קצת שאלות.
אני חושב
אם אתה רוצה שאלות, תגיד לי פעם הבאה.
אני חושב שדיברת על צוות ניקיון כבר.
הם צריכים ללכת הביתה.
מישהו דיבר איתך, מישהו אמר משהו ביציאה? או שפשוט נתן כלום?
לא, ישר ניתן.
שמעת את הניתוקים מדי פעם בזה.
כן, כאילו יש משהו...
כי טל אמרה להם שאת להרצאה מוקלטת, אז...
מישהו יודע, רגע, אנחנו עדיין מקליטים, מישהו יודע ריקורדר?
תשעה?
אז זה מקליט לגמרי כמו שאמרנו.
זה מאוד מחפה.
נושאים שאנחנו רוצים, דיברנו איתך, שאנחנו רוצים להציג כמה